When you require more than one task to arrive at a certain outcome, we refer to this as a project. Projects start with an idea, have a start and a finish date. Isn't really business as usual, and you end up creating something new. A personal example of a project could be a home renovation, and a professional one could be creating a website. I will use an example from my Notion workspace for creating a website to explain how I have set up Notion projects. You will notice that you end up investing a lot of time, effort, and money to arrive at that outcome. If your project goes wrong, it can be really frustrating, painful, and expensive. There are some gold standard methods like agile and critical path that help you avoid those potholes. So I have incorporated these into this Notion template, which can track personal and professional projects. A strong project plan is one of the most critical stages in the whole process. I have incorporated all of this into a template that I can draw upon while executing the project. Every important achievement in a project is a milestone, and every milestone needs to have a start date for activities and an end date when the milestone will be achieved. Putting through your understanding of the complexity and a SWOT provides insights on whether you should seek external help or automation for this milestone, with further insights like resource requirements, how much it is likely to cost, what will be excluded and included, and what are the key assumptions I made during the thinking process, and what kind of constraints am I likely to encounter. I'm more likely to be prepared for that milestone. Similarly, capturing scope creeps and revised scopes, I can understand how many times I've not been able to estimate scope correctly, and that lesson can help me correct that situation going forward. One of the key pillars for successful planning is to put forth a RACI chart, and that houses team members responsible, accountable, needing to be consulted or informed regarding a particular milestone of the project. One of the most important factors for a successful project is to make sure that the sponsor's interests are clearly and correctly incorporated, which can be outlined from the project objectives. Milestones are now converted into sprints, where within a short time-boxed period, the team completes a set amount of work. Sprints allow you to achieve outcomes through the project rather than one single large outcome at the end of the project. While sprints should never be longer than a month, I prefer 1 or 2 week sprints when it comes to short or medium-sized projects. For building a website, for example, you will need at least 8 sprints. Each sprint can be split down into tasks. So if you serial number each task and prefix the sprint with a specific sprint number, you can easily create a sprint task number, and that is really convenient. You will notice that some of the tasks are really critical, and you cannot start another task without finishing these critical tasks. And all of this are what I have mapped under dependencies. All tasks roll up into the project, so you can review the overall project progress. Each project can also be flagged off from start to completion, with on hold or waiting for clearly outlined under status. If a task is past due, it's flagged off in red, and if it's within time, it's green. And if the task has been completed, it's ticked off. To keep the databases neat, I combine properties into one by using formulae, and that also makes it visually appealing. Linking tasks to responsible individuals and to vendors allows you to look at the RACI chart in more granular detail. Having budgets and actuals mapped out at the line level allows for granular budget tracking. I have a separate meetings table, and I can link details of each meeting from that table to the project's database. Every task needs to have a duration specified. So if the from and to dates are not filled up, the duration remains empty, and the duration checkbox highlights itself. With a quick view, you can see all the tasks without any duration mentioned. Once you mention the duration of individual tasks and roll this all up into the project by specifying the start date of the project, you will automatically get the end date and the effort it is likely to take. By highlighting the effort the task is likely to take, you can understand the complexity of the overall sprint or the project quickly. If more than 50% of the tasks are likely to be high effort, then the project is defined as complex in this context. Combining all of this into the status view, you have a snapshot of whether you're in control of your project or not. Too many red dots, for example, indicate that you're really behind, and you may consider revising your project timelines to be more realistic. For every line item, you can specify a budget and record the actuals against it. If you have consolidated budgets and expenses, then you can mention the budget and actuals for the sprint against the most important task for that sprint. Variances to budget are automatically calculated. If the project is within budget, it is indicated with a green heart at the budget level and a red flag if it exceeds budget. So you can either revise your budget, cut down on other tasks from future sprints, or pull back on the entire project itself. To manage the entire project, I have divided the workspace into several parts. The planning happens at the project definition level, which is a template embedded with all the definitions. A detailed getting started guide provides for information regarding the template itself. The project schedule can be defined with the task by sprint with from and to dates. You can manage the project inside of the project control menu. The cost management menu allows you to track the project costs. If you want to schedule or track meetings, go to the meetings menu. The operations dashboard is probably the most powerful of them, with so many different views. When you hand off the task or the sprint to the sponsor for review, you can tick off the handed over checkbox. On completion of the review, you can update the accepted checkbox. If the project is marked off as accepted without handing over, it flags it off with an exclamation mark. If it's handed over, it marks it with a yellow dot. And if it's marked off as accepted with a purple dot. All the original databases are housed within the engine room. Links are in the description to pick up this template. If you're not yet part of this community, do consider subscribing and don't forget to hit the bell icon to stay notified of new videos. If you liked the video, consider sharing it with your friends. Stay safe, stay healthy. Peace.